the only one of its kind. Experience the 4 paths of natural wellness: yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy. Each uniquely customized program improves the whole person to make every person whole. Come to WION Health Resort. Make your reservation at WION.com.
Vielleicht nur als 5%.
This is World of Africa on WION World is One. This week we highlight 2 countries on separate ends but share the same woes of a cost of living crisis. From the east, Kenyans are grappling with a controversial law that the president introduced last year as a way to cushion the citizens from a burgeoning debt burden. But hiking taxes of basic commodities like the staple bread, citizens say it is not the way to go, and they are using social media to vent. While in the west, Nigerians are dismayed by their president's decision to introduce a new national anthem when the nation is on the brink of inflation and sinking economy. They say the godfather, Tinubu, has lost touch with the people. I'm Eric Njoka. Welcome to the show. Scores of Kenyans gathered outside Parliament to protest controversial tax hikes, with police deploying tear gas and making arrests. The East African economic powerhouse has struggled with a biting cost of living crisis, which critics say will only worsen under the proposed levies. The cash-strapped government has defended the move, projected to raise some 346.7 billion shillings. That's about $2.7 billion US, equivalent to 1.9% of the GDP, as a necessary measure to cut reliance on external borrowing. Dubbed Occupy Parliament and hashtag Reject Finance Bill 2024, news of the protest was shared online after an activist leaked members of parliament contact details, urging people to bombard them with calls and messages to shoot down a bill proposing the new hikes. Here's a report from Nairobi.
There is trouble in Kenya. Days after the 2024-25 budget was presented in Parliament by the Treasury Ministry, there is something else that is roiling millions of Kenyans. And it's not what read out to them in the annual budget. The proposed Finance Bill 2024, aimed at amending tax laws and revenue-raising measures, has ignited a firestorm of public discontent in Kenya. As the nation's legislatures prepared to deliberate the bill's fate, a resounding chorus of disapproval has erupted. You see, the problem began in 2023, when the country's President William Ruto made his first State of the Nation address after being elected to office. He strongly defended his economic measures laid out in a bill that he proposed then, which eventually became the Finance Bill of 2024.
The time has come, therefore, to retire the false comforts and illusionary benefits of wasteful expenditure and counterproductive subsidies on consumption, by which we dug ourselves deeper into the hole of avoidable debt.
This drew the wrath of economists and the opposition, which organized countrywide rallies to denounce the proposal. The chorus has been sung throughout last year and better part of this year.
Ruto's government is doing the right thing at the wrong time, at the wrong place. The money he wants to build houses with, he should use it to lower the cost of living. There's no need to sleep in a flat when you're hungry. You are better off living in a metal sheet house and being well fed.
If they say we protest for 5 years, we will protest for 5 years. If they say we protest from Monday to Sunday, that is what we will do.
But this year, the kind of protests and channels used to vent the anger is different. Citizens voice their concerns through various channels, including social media campaigns like #RejectFinanceBill2024. At the heart of the controversy lies several contentious provisions that have drawn widespread criticism. The introduction of a 2.5% tax on the value of motor vehicles, with a minimum threshold of Kenya shillings 5,000 and a maximum cap of Kenya shillings 100,000, has raised concerns about the potential burden on car owners. Similarly, the proposed revisions to the per diem taxation, which hinge on employers having approved policies and peg the maximum daily allowance at 5% of employees' gross monthly salaries, have sparked fears of reduced takeaway pay for workers. The bill's proposal to raise the pension contribution limit from 20,000 to 30,000 per month has received a mixed response, with some viewing it positively, while others worrying about its implications for disposable income. Furthermore, the repeal of the digital services tax and the introduction of a significant economic presence tax with an effective rate of 6% have faced resistance from those concerned about the potential impact on digital transactions.
We have evidence of the interventions where, for example, when you look at the macro prices, which is inflation, exchange rates, and interest rates, inflation is down. You see stability on foreign exchange, which also is an indication of how the economy is doing. But there is a concern when it comes to the cost of credit in the economy. Interest rates are at 17% plus. So really, which business can be able to lend at that rate?
The budget, as I see it, is not going to benefit most of us. It's going actually to bring a lot of pain to the mostly to the common mwananchi. Because if all the basic commodities are going to be affected by this tax, which is actually being raised, like if say you hear that VAT will be from 16 to 22%, or even if it goes to 18%, it's still too high.
Perhaps the most contentious aspect of the bill is the proposed imposition of a 16% value-added tax on bread, a staple food item previously zero-rated. Citizens argue that this move will directly impact their daily lives and household budgets, exacerbating the already challenging economic conditions faced by many households. While the bill introduces an eco-levy, signaling the government's commitment to environmental conservation, its specifics and potential impact remain subjects of intense scrutiny. Additionally, the proposed increase in the VAT registration threshold from KES 5 million to KES 8 million, the exemption of the transfer of businesses as a going concern from VAT, and the subjection of certain financial services to VAT have further fueled the public debate. The ball is now with the country's National Assembly. Most parliamentarians will not outrightly reject the bill, but will instead scrutinize contentious clauses, such as the bread tax. Lawmakers find themselves at a crossroads, tasked with balancing the need to fund the government operations and address the genuine concerns of their constituents. Africa Bureau, WION. World is One.
Nigerian President Bola Tinubu recently signed a bill switching back to a national anthem composed by a British expatriate and adopted at independence, a move some dismissed as a cynical distraction from an escalating economic crisis. Nigeria's economy has plunged during Tinubu's first year in office, which he marked by addressing Parliament, with inflation reaching a 28-year high of 33.2%. The independence anthem was repealed in 1978 by Olusegun Obasanjo a military head of state at the time, without giving an official reason. But it was understood it was because it was written by a Briton during British colonial rule. Here's a report.
At a school in Lagos, pupils are practicing the new national anthem, though it's also an old one. Nigeria's government has replaced Arise O Compatriots with We Hail Thee, composed by a British expatriate and adopted at independence. It was repealed by military head of state Olusegun Obasanjo in 1978, without an official reason, though it was understood to be because it was written by a Briton during colonial rule.
Nigeria, we hail thee.
For some, like Chimezie Uwoma, the new anthem means trying to recall lyrics he hasn't sung in more than 4 decades.
In brotherhood we stand, Nigeria for... If I settle down, I'll be able to recite it. But for sure I know it.
Uwoma says the problem is whether or not Nigerians can implement what is written in the lyrics, i.e., can we be brothers? But others, like stylist Clement Ahizuwa, have dismissed the new move as a cynical distraction from an escalating economic crisis.
Like the prices of foodstuffs, fuel, transportation, how no job and all of those things. I think that should be more important.
Nigeria's economy has plunged in President Bola Tinubu's first year in office. That's after he introduced a series of economic reforms, including removing a popular but costly fuel subsidy. On Wednesday, Tinubu said the reforms would continue.
There is no doubt that the reform has occasioned hardship. I feel your pains. Yet there are necessary repairs required to fix the economy over the long run.
In April, inflation soared to 33.69%, its highest level in nearly 3 decades. That's eroding incomes and contributing to Nigeria's worst cost of living crisis in decades.
Now, in an attempt to tackle the stigma and reluctance of people to test for HIV, South African authorities are recruiting traditional healers. The healers are part of a pilot study to encourage more people, especially the young, to have the test and to seek medical treatment if needed. Here's a report from Johannesburg.
Shadrach Mashabane's hut in rural South Africa has all the trappings of a traditional healer. His home in the town of Bushbuck Ridge is covered with traditional fabrics, and there are glass bottles with herbs and medicines. But what stands out is a white box containing an HIV testing kit. Mashabane is one of at least 15 traditional healers who are taking part in a pilot study run by the University of Witwatersrand. Researchers have trained them to carry out HIV testing and counseling to encourage more South Africans to be aware of their HIV status and prevent the spread of the disease.
From the start, we begin with our traditional consultation work. Then I explained the HIV testing. Many did not really believe or trust that we can actually do this kind of thing because it is unusual. What most people know is that testing only happens in clinics. So at the very beginning of the study, they really looked down on us.
It's the most significant public health program to involve traditional healers. There are plans to expand the program later this year, with at least another 325 healers undergoing training to become certified HIV counselors. Researchers at the university will compare rates of HIV testing to see whether more people prefer to get tested by the healers rather than the clinics.
It's a feasibility study where we wanted to assess whether we can be able to train traditional healers to test for HIV, or the clients will go to the traditional healers will they be able to accept HIV testing if it's done from the traditional healer? And also to create an environment where traditional healers and the clinics or staff are working together.
South Africa has one of the highest rates of HIV in the world. Stigma remains in many communities around the disease and its treatment, even though HIV antiretroviral medication and pre-exposure prophylaxis are free. Concern about privacy at clinics also keeps people from seeking help. Many people in rural areas see traditional healers as their first point of contact for illnesses, and the project hopes they can help change attitudes about the disease. South Africa's large younger population is a special concern.
I don't give up if I test a person and find them positive. I talk to them, encourage and advise them to go to the hospital. I keep the referral and wait for them to advise on when they can go to the clinic. Should they fail, I personally walk to the clinic, accompanying them, committing myself to take them to the clinic so they can get treatment.
Around 2,000 traditional healers operate in the Mpumalanga province town of Bushbuck Ridge, home to about 750,000 people, providing traditional and spiritual services. The researchers hope testing and treating via traditional medicine practitioners could ultimately lead to the end of new HIV cases in communities. Their ultimate aim is to inspire South Africa's government to roll out the program nationally. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.
In a refugee camp in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, where children have known little but conflict, a modest arena for cultivating peace of mind has emerged. Simple chessboards placed on the ground. Here's how the game is changing the children's lives in Goma.
At the heart of Goma, these tiny ones are mastering the art of chess. One ace here and another there. They are so engrossed in the game that they are oblivious of their surroundings. In this refugee camp in eastern Congo, where children have known little but conflict, a modest arena for cultivating peace of mind has emerged. Simple chessboards placed on the ground, all thanks to Focus Congo and Chess in City programs.
We want to break this infernal cycle, firstly by occupying their minds, because chess eliminates stress, it manages stress, it gives people the opportunity to find peaceful solutions to problems. So that's why we're much more interested in them, so that chess can bring peace, and so that they can rediscover themselves, rediscover logic.
Once a week, the displaced youngsters living at the Focus Congo camp in Kibati learn the strategic board game from the players of the Soga Club chess team, a group of young enthusiasts from nearby Goma. The Chess in the City initiative, founded by 24-year-old Akidi Bashige Luenda, aims to use the cerebral game to provide an outlet and teach critical thinking to children traumatized by decades of violence in the unstable region.
These children were scattered. They were playing dangerous games. But since we started this activity here, you can see for yourself how very, very concentrated they are.
Lacking even tables, the makeshift outdoor chess classes see boards covered in a thin layer of plastic simply placed on the dirt as the coaches teach the children how the pieces move and watch them apply the lessons through practice matches. The focus and concentration on the children's face is a world away from the insecurity that has marred their young lives in a region plagued by militia violence and ethnic tensions.
I come to see these children playing chess because I've realized that this game is very important for our children. It keeps them very busy. They don't wander around on the roads to see the vehicles. They spend their days here learning and practicing.
In a camp born of unrelenting conflict, the chessboards have provided an unlikely sanctuary and a test of skills the children may one day apply to seek checkmate over violence. The ultimate goal is to train the young players to compete in major tournaments, potentially representing Congo internationally and allowing them to discover the world and discover the peace that exists outside the violence they live in. Africa Bureau, WION, World is One.
Offense Pitse is the first black South African woman to conduct her own all-black orchestra called Anchored Sound. The Tshwane resident says her family's involvement in the Salvation Army led her to playing her first instrument in the famous brass band. Here is her journey.
Rehearsals have just started in the studio in Gauteng, Johannesburg. At the front, swaying the baton, is a rather unique face, not one that you would fathom being at the operas. Offense Pitse puts on a stern face, her makeup all down to the T, her headphone fixed to her ears, with her spotless white jacket matching her black trousers and signature braided updo. Offense's hand motions tell you who the master of this orchestra really is.
I mean, the conducting of an orchestra, it really happened organically. I started out as a 12-year-old being inquisitive in church. So my family was always in church having meetings. So I had to find something to do while they were busy with their stuff, right?
The pioneering 31-year-old who hails from Mabopane, a township some 40 kilometers northwest of Pretoria, is the first black South African woman to own and run her own orchestra. She's producing a show that brings together classical music and popular South African genre, Amapiano, which developed from a mix of Kwaito, South Africa's take on house music, and the more international variety.
So at the time, the minister, the pastor of the church was like, listen, if you want to learn how to play an instrument, come on Tuesday. And then my mom dropped me off on Tuesday. I got taught how to play the C scale. And basically the rest was history. So it was a means to an end. Like we're always in church, I had to find something to do. And the evolution of that was my love for classical music, my love for choral and opera. And being someone who is very passionate about young people, I started my own youth choir.
A career in classical music was not always her dream, rather a gift. However, success and recognition has also brought pressure. Being young and black in a white male-dominant industry, she said there was often someone checking to see if she really knew what she was doing.
And so for me, it was like, wow, so women can really create at this level. And I think that was my vision cast of why I'm doing this, to see women really want to be badass in this space that is telling them that actually you're not as good as the guys, right? And then so it's like we created a seat at our own tables.
As a zealous Beyoncé fan, her ultimate dream is working with the US singer whose work ethic she simulates. Africa Bureau, WION World is One.
Thanks for watching this week's episode of Wild of Africa. Stay in touch with us on all our social media platforms and tell us about the show there. I'm Eric Njoka, and until next time, from me and the team, Masalam.
Ready to dive into your daily dose of news?
Bringing you what's trending in the West and all that's setting trends in the East.
And all of this served up with a side of insightful banter.
We don't just bring you the latest stories.
We bring you your talking points for the day.
And while you do that, from the busy streets of New York, I will provide you with deeper insights on the developments through the course of the day in the U.S.
And I will be here at the WION headquarters, getting you all the action from the universe of sport. All that you need to know about your favorite teams and players, right here.
The show that keeps you ahead of the global curve. A conversation you'd want to be a part of. A place where news becomes an engaging exchange.
We bring you stories that impact your present.
This is World DNA. Join the conversation.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Economic turmoil and global unrest have cast a shadow over President Joe Biden's approval ratings.
The rockets are continuing to be fired by Hamas in Gaza, although at a slower rate than previously.
So, right now, we are with the volunteers from the Aleppo municipality. They are still trying to go to the rescue for the people they can find out.
India has emerged as a major diplomatic force at the world stage.
The rising cost of living in Nigeria continues to impact citizens from all walks of life.
The citizens of Gujarat witnessed a mega roadshow here in the city of Ahmedabad.
China is South Africa's largest trading partner for 134 years straight.
A domestic aircraft carrying 72 people on board crashed in Pokhara city in central Nepal.
165 injuries have been moved, 61 people are confirmed dead, and rescue operations continue around me.
After receiving an entire season's rainfall in a span of 48 hours, Chennai city has literally been brought to its knees.
South Africa, for WION, World is One.
The stress of our world can take a toll on our physical and emotional health. Here, in New York's Catskill Mountains, lies a luxurious place of healing called WION Wellness Center. The WION Wellness Center provides 500,000 square feet of natural methods to manage diabetes, hypertension, chronic pain, obesity, depression, anxiety, and other conditions. We use the traditions of centuries-old natural science from India, yoga, Ayurveda, acupuncture, and naturopathy in personalized programs that help you take charge of your own health. A minimum 5-day stay is recommended for best results. Book now at yo1.com.
Everyone loves a contest. But sport isn't just about victory and defeat. When the GOATs in sport speak, you hear it first on WION.
You have to play good cricket over a period of time.
I actually pushed myself right out of the damn tournament.
We go beyond the stats. Our stories are quoted the world over.
At WION, sport is part of our DNA. Come, join us on this journey. Weekdays 6:30 p.m. IST, 1 p.m. GMT.